Hello, I'm Rachel Castro, and I was connected to urban outreach about 13 years ago, I would say. I want to say it was 2001 was the first time that I learned about urban outreach, and that was through my church, Par Temple Baptist. We had someone come to church and start talking about this ministry for kids, for inner city kids, and they mentioned a camp. And they told us it was Camp of the Hills, and they told us that it was for inner city kids, and that all we had to do was show up and come, and that they were going to just bus us in, and they had everything taken care of for us. And of course, me being a church kid, my parents just pretty much packed me up and sent me on my way, and they said, go and have a good time. And Urban Outreach just, they did above and beyond. They had the good kids and they had the bad kids, and they just loved on us like we were so important. And that's how I started with Urban, and after that they just kept in contact and they kept showing their faces at my church, and that's how I met David Torres and Sid Smith, and they just became these role models in my life, and they kind of taught me that there was more than just Northside, Houston, Texas, and they just showed everyone what Christ was like and how fortunate we are as just inner city kids, that people just loved on us. And through that, I went to Camp of the Hills for 4 summers, and I was with Urban Outreach throughout that time. And then through my affiliation with Urban, I became a counselor with Camp of the Hills, and just my life was just totally different. Christ was just booming in my life, and he took me above and beyond what I thought I could reach on my own. I've graduated from college from UTSA, and now I'm back in Houston, and I have a great job, and God is just He's just blessing me, and that's why I'm here to show you that I am an example of a child that came out of Urban, and just the impact that they had on my life, it just changed it. And Christ is flowing, He's living, and I'm so thankful for this organization. My favorite memory from camp was the Saturday that David Torres came and picked us up. And there were about, I would say, maybe 150 of us, and we all rushed to him, and we had all of these stories to tell him about camp, and he took the time to hear each one of our stories. And to me, that was like, wow, somebody cares, somebody loves me, and he knows nothing about me. I think we walk away with an example of Christ. So that's an intangible thing, and we walk away knowing that Christ is living, and these examples are doing their best to be Christ to the world. And I think that is what I walked away with. And some of the other kids that were in the organization with me, they also walked away with the same, knowing that, wow, Christ really is alive, and He really is living in us to make the world a better place. Wow. My favorite moment as a counselor would be the summer of '08. That was my last year as a counselor. I had a camper named Grace, and she was 17, I want to say, and she had the mentality of a 6-year-old, and I believe she was living on the streets at the time. She had no home, no parents, nothing to look forward to, and she was definitely a troublemaker, and it was just the hardest week of the summer. It was week 7, and it was just so hard. But she just attached to me, because when everyone else was saying, I'm just so tired because camp is just so draining on you. I just told her, I love you regardless of all the trouble that you're causing, and I love you regardless. And she wouldn't let me go. She wanted to hold my hand everywhere that we went. She would literally go through my clothes and she would want to wear my clothes instead of her clothes, because she said she wanted to be like me, that she saw God in me, and she wanted that. And I just thought that was my favorite memory, was knowing that someone that had nothing could see that there was something bigger, and she wanted that better. She wanted that. I say it's important that Urban will continue, and that people will help, just if they can't be there physically, that they can be there in other ways, in tangible ways. I think it's important because God commissioned us in Acts 1:8. He commissioned us to go out and to serve Judea and Samaria and all the ends of the world. And I think we can do that, and we can start in our backyard. And Urban is doing that. And I think it's really important that we invest in our younger generations, because they're growing up to be in a world without God. And it's up to us as Christians to make the stand and to change our future, and to just pour Christ back into them when everyone else is saying it's perfectly fine to be without God. And Urban is focusing on the importance of being Christ and showing Christ, and they're focusing on the obligation that God gave us, which was to know Him and to let Him be known. And I think it's important that we all come together to support this ministry, because they are fulfilling their obligation, as Acts 1:8 states. Well, I graduated high school and went to UTSA, which is in San Antonio, and I was an accounting major. And I graduated after 4 years, and I moved back to Houston. And I got my first job as an accounts payable position with Gulf Coast Oil and Gas. And then I wanted something more. And I knew that God had a better plan for me than just to stick there. So then He just opened the door to Centerpoint Energy, and now I'm the accountant there at CES, which is primarily with natural gas and the wholesale of natural gas. And I've been there for about 10 months now, going on 11 months. And wow, I thought, I would just get some regular job and be satisfied, but God just blessed me with an abundance, and I'm so happy there. And He just gives me such a peace to be there, and He surrounded me with such good people and godly people. I don't have to go in and worry about being, condemned or anything of that nature. I don't have to be ashamed to be a Christian there, and they just let me be me and let me be happy, and it's just such a great organization to be with. Currently, I am the youth minister over at North Central Baptist Church. I stepped into that role about 4 months ago. God just told me, to invest to invest in our younger generation. And I started off with 3 kids, and now I have about 17, and they are inner city kids as well. They have nothing, and they come from nothing, but I'm starting to build them, this environment and this atmosphere of hope. And they're just growing, and not only just growing in their self-esteem, but also in Christ, and they are also growing in their education. They're learning so much, and I just love being with them. It just makes my heart so happy to be with them, because I put on some music and they start singing their little hearts out, and it reminds me of camp and it reminds me of urban so much, and I just love that I can do that all the time now.